Hi, I'm Stuart Thomson, editor of Digital TV Europe. I'm here with Darren Lepke, who's head of video product management at Verizon Media. Darren, we're in the middle of a COVID epidemic, and there's been a lot of interest in streaming. Not so much interest in live streaming, but it's definitely coming back now that the sports have been renewed and are starting again. What do you see as the key challenges faced by content providers when they're delivering live streaming coverage of big ticket sports events?
Yeah, that's a great question, Stuart. So when we think about streaming, live sports or live events, there's really three key parts that we look at. We look at the process of getting streams out of the venue. So how do you take the multiple camera angles that maybe have gone to an on-site director who are kind of switching between and curating a viewing experience? How do we get that broadcast feed and those camera signals out of the stadium back to HQ? There, step two, and back in HQ, you're doing more things like adding more on-screen graphics. You're kicking over to the in-studio team. You are going to ad breaks, so that you're kind of transforming the content even further. And then step three is the distribution, right? And in traditional kind of broadcast sense, you would then send it out to a satellite provider or a cable head end, or in the case of OTT, you then broadcast it across the web, right? So when it comes to the COVID-19 pandemic, we've seen challenges at all three steps of that process, right? Mostly due to the fact that you are, limited in your ability to send staff to a venue or staff to the HQ to operate the tools, which, for many years have been, a very hands-on process, right? So, really, when you think about the big challenges there, it's really how do you then operate a typical event in an environment where you can't actually have a lot of staff on site and do some of the things you've always done.
Yeah, great. And obviously you've been deeply involved in this throughout the crisis and at other times. What are the key things you're doing now to enhance the performance of live streaming of sports? I guess there have been a number of challenges that predate what's going on at the moment.
Sure. So yeah, we really see the pandemic not as a transformational event, but really more as an accelerator. It's driving forward trends that have already been in the works for many years, but are now being pulled forward, 12 to 24 months. So if you look at the big trends that were happening before, it was the move from analog to IP distribution. It was the move from on-premise equipment to the cloud. It was the move from hands-on tools to virtualized environments, right? So across all of those things, we are helping our customers, continue those trends. So on the contribution side, getting streams out of the venue, we are, finding ways to leverage, existing fiber connections. We are, in some cases, sending the streams not back to the broadcast headquarters, but directly to the cloud. And in the near future, we'll start to see things like 5G wireless technology also start to play a role in how you actually move content. It might not be your 4K UHD streams to begin with, but things like remote news gathering or walking through the stands, interviewing fans, that could be an early use case for wireless contribution. On the kind of second step of transformation, all the tools around producing event, switching angles, adding graphics, these things are also being virtualized. They're being moved to the cloud. So if you can get the streams out of the venue to the cloud, then you also have the opportunity to manipulate them and produce them and transform them in the cloud as well. So we're seeing, a lot more of our large sports customers where the director, rather than being, in a lorry on site at the stadium, they're now back in their living rooms doing the same job, but doing it virtually. And certainly, when you think about the third step, the distribution, we are continuing to see trends, away from, satellite distribution, away from cable subscriptions to OTT. We're seeing an explosion in viewing in connected TVs and mobile devices. So in terms of enhancing the performance of kind of the downstream distribution, it's the same story we've been working on for years. You have to have higher quality streams, so the content itself can be produced in 4K HDR, for some of the biggest, big ticket events. We're definitely seeing, the need to deliver uninterrupted streams. Fans are used to an experience where, on a satellite provider, you don't get buffering, you don't get interruptions. So those are all essential for the streaming experience as well. And then, moving beyond that, how can we continue to give fans a little more, say in the experience? How can we provide a more enriching experience, given that we have some more of the flexibility with OTT and some of the digital tools that it provides?
Yeah. One key thing that has happened, I guess, as streaming has developed, is that there's been an extension of the distribution of content beyond the TV or the content provider's own app for multi-screen distribution to social media and other third-party sites. What do you see as the benefits and the kind of challenges involved in enabling that kind of distribution?
Yeah, it's certainly the case that the environment is becoming more complex in terms of the requirements for distribution. In the early days of OTT, the big accomplishment was delivering a stream to a broadcaster's owned and operated website or app. There's now an emerging ecosystem of additional distribution partners. Being able to say, stream a pre-match feed to social media, have some sort of fan engagement before the match. There are certainly additional distributors in the mix today. A lot of virtual MVPDs are emerging now as kind of niche content or niche sports providers in that space, meeting the needs of fans in the OTT world. So the benefits of that means more content licensing, more opportunities for advertising revenue, more opportunities for fan engagement for the content owners and the leagues. The challenges, of course, is you have to deal with all the complexity of all those distribution endpoints. The internet is not like the broadcast world where there is one standard for your video codecs and transport streams. That each one of those providers have different metadata requirements, different stream format requirements. So being able to distribute them can make you more money, but it's also some additional operational overhead associated with actually making that work.
Right. Now, there's some specific things that Verizon Media is doing now to help and enable this type of distribution going forwards. Yeah,
sure. So over the years, we've kind of made a name for ourselves in simplifying the broadcasting or the OTT workflow for our customers. We take a lot of the complexity out of doing things like server-side ad insertion or integrating with broadcast playout systems. We're carrying through that same theme, towards these new distribution endpoints where we're enabling kind of a one-time setup. You go in one time, you enter your credentials for the various downstream partners, whether it's username and password for a social media account or an API key for an MVPD partner. And then from there, choosing to distribute beyond your OTT app or your own website is really just a matter of checking a box, right? You can select now, of these 10 live feeds that I have coming into our system, I'd like 5 to go to my own app, but I'd like these 5 plus additional more to go out to these additional partners. So it's really about making it very easy for customers to do it without having to go out and negotiate the technical interface for each one of those partners. We do that work ahead of time, and then we make that available to all of our customers to do.
Great. And finally, what do you see as the current needs or what current needs have you identified for OTT distributors, and what are you doing to address those? What other things are going on?
Sure. We've talked a lot about kind of the digital workflows and the behind the scenes requirements for broadcasters and content owners. It's really important to not lose sight of the needs of the fans themselves, the consumers of these live events. So in conversations with a lot of our OTT video distributor partners and customers, we see a willingness now more than ever to experiment, to enhance, to provide more interactivity for the fans themselves in the downstream viewing experience on their devices. So for us, that means giving the viewers more control over what they see in the game. So rather than leaving it up to a director on site to decide which camera angle to show on the screen, we are now streaming all of the camera angles directly to the fans and allowing them to choose, would they like to watch from behind the goal, at midfield. They like to get a view from on the pitch. They get the choice of which angle they'd like to watch. And similarly, the OTT video distributors are finding ways or looking for ways to, replicate the in-person fan experience at home. So, a lot of what it means to be a fan is to go to a match, to wear the kit, to spend time with your friends, to go down to the pub, to watch the match on TV. A lot of that is not possible today in the pandemic. So, we're bringing some of that social experience into the home, where now, you can actually start to watch a match on your mobile device, and then you can invite your friends to come and watch with you. So everybody sees the match happening at the same time. You're on a video chat, much like we're doing now, and you can talk to each other in real time. So it's things like that. It's adding interactivity. It's predicting what's going to happen next on this penalty shot. Are they going to kick it to the left or to the right? And then making some sort of game or even wager around that. These are things that we've talked about for a long time with our customers, and given where we are in the world today, we're seeing these things becoming reality, and for that, it's a really exciting time to be a part of this industry.
Great, yeah. Fan engagement really becoming a central thing for service providers. That's great, and broadcasters. Great, Darren, thanks very much.
Thank you, Stuart.